If you guys didn't know, by the way, I uploaded twice yesterday, which I'm going to be doing for the next little while. So if you missed yesterday's second video, which was obviously uploaded at a different time than I normally do, then you can go check that out. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2020 NBA free agency class. And most specifically, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 free agents in that class. And the reason that I wanted to go through this exercise is pretty often we've had this narrative about this class that it's just not that strong of a class. And I wanted to go through and see if that was actually the case. And in this video, I'm including in my top 10 both unrestricted free agents as well as players that have player options for this offseason. I'm not including restricted free agents, however. That might be its own separate video, but I'm not including those guys. And the reason that I included player options, at first I was just gonna do unrestricted free agents, is the list was really ugly without the player option guys. So that's who's included. We're gonna get into my top 10 here in a second. But really quickly before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload basically every single day, and for the next little while, it's gonna be twice a week a lot of the time as well. So if you love the NBA, this is a great place to be. You can also like the video as well. It helps me out a ton. It helps the content out a ton as well, get out to more people on YouTube. I would really appreciate that as well. And two things to plug here right at the end. If you have not come over to hang out on Twitch at Spolo_TD, you definitely should. It's a great place to just hang out, watch me play some Warzone, talk about basketball, talk about whatever's going on in the world. We talk about fantasy football, we talk about regular football, we talk about everything. We talk about food, all kinds of weird conversations being had over there. It's super fun as you go hang out. And you can also hang out in my Discord server that just got added yesterday as well. A ton of you guys jumped in there yesterday after I shouted it out in the both videos that I did yesterday. If you want to, the link to that is down in the description. Again, a great place to just kind of hang out with people. There's an NBA discussion tab. There's an NBA trade machine tab as well, which will be tomorrow's video if you guys want to get your suggestions in for that. With that said, let's go and get started. Okay, we're going to start this off at number 10, and I'm going to go and let you guys know some parts of this order might surprise you. You might not agree with, which is fine. And I'm interested to see what your guys' thoughts are on your own top 10 of the 2020 free agents. For me, though, at number 10, I'm going to go with Bertans. And this is a guy that is definitely one of the more interesting free agents in this class because it's really going to decide, how much value teams place on an elite, high-level, high-volume shooter with some other things to bring to the table, but not a whole lot else, right? I mean, Bertans had an incredible season in Washington and decided to not even play in the bubble because he knew that there was going to be a potential big contract coming his way this offseason. Now, unfortunately for him, this offseason isn't going to allow for maximum, contract size and length for him just because of the salary cap situation, things like that. But there's still going to be a lot of interested teams in what he does. I mean, again, the volume and the efficiency at which he can shoot the three-pointer really puts him in this top 10. And honestly, before this season, he wouldn't even have been in probably the top 25. Like, it's kind of crazy how much he's jumped, but that's how good he was in Washington this most recent season. Next up now at number 9 is one that maybe surprises you a bit in terms of where they are on this list, and it's going to be Gordon Hayward. And the reason he's so far down here is, one, the 8 players in front of him I just like better, but 2, availability is certainly an issue. And this is a guy that I don't really expect to be a 2020 free agent, to be honest. He has a player option. In all likelihood, he is going to accept that and become a free agent in 2021. But availability has been an issue. Durability has been an issue for obvious reasons. And then in the postseason, he just didn't perform well this past year. Again, it wasn't 100%, but still, I like what Gordon Hayward provides from like a playmaking standpoint. Can score a little bit, can pass a little bit, can get to the rim and things like that. But it just would make me nervous signing a guy like him with the history of injury issues that he has, some of the durability issues that he has, and that's why he falls at number 9 on this list. Except now at number 8 is a player that I kind of begrudgingly put at number 8. I really didn't want to include this guy in the top 10 just because I'm not the biggest fan, but he kind of has to be here just based off of talent, what he's done at this point in the league. And it's Drummond, another guy with a player option that I don't really know if he's going to opt in. It kind of seems like he should, but it doesn't. I don't really know if he's going to. In terms of the money that he's going to be making this season, though, it kind of seems like he should. I don't think he's going to be getting that on the open market. But regardless, Drummond is one of the best rebounding bigs in the entire league. Someone that can put up a consistent double-double every single night, put up big stats in Detroit. And what he's going to do moving forward is kind of up in the air. We're going to really figure out what the actual value of Drummond is here at some point. Is he just a rebounder guy? Is he someone that actually helps your team win basketball games? Is he just a stat guy? We're going to find that out. But for me, just based off the talent and the production and the pedigree that Drummond has built up for himself to this point in his NBA career, I felt like 8 was about as low as I could possibly go for him on these rankings, and that's why he ended up here. Number 7 now is a player that I would have put much higher than this before this past postseason, and it's going to be Montrezl Harrell, all the way down at number 7 for this group. Again, this is someone that you would have expected to see higher up on this list prior to the postseason, but after seeing how poorly he performed in that Nuggets series with the Clippers, I'm really calling into question the value of Montrezl Harrell. Maybe I was overvaluing him a bit to a certain extent, but I thought this guy was, going to be one of the best bench players in the league, a great scorer, someone that can at least compete defensively and can be part of a championship team potentially. That doesn't appear to be the case for Montrezl Harrell anymore, because the defense, specifically defending guys like Jokic, and you might think, oh, well, that's just a bad matchup. There's a lot of really good fives in the league that Montrezl Harrell is going to have to try and find a way to guard if he wants to stay on the floor late in big games, or he's got to figure out a way to guard fours and let someone else guard the five. But regardless, that defensive side of the ball, which I understand isn't paid attention to a ton in free agency, that defensive side of the ball is really, really concerning for me for Montrezl Harrell, and that's why he's so far down on this list. Like, he can score inside. He's got a couple little in-between finishes. Obviously doesn't provide any spacing. Provides a ton of energy on both ends of the floor. I get all those things that Montrezl Harrell does positively, but when you're that much of a zero on defense, specifically in the postseason at the 5 spot, I have a lot of issues with you, and so that's why Montrezl Harrell ends up where he does on this list. Okay, now we're getting to a 6-man group that all but one of them I feel really, really good about on this list. Number 6 for me is going to be Jermai Grant, another guy that you wouldn't have expected to be this high before the postseason, but looked really good in the playoffs, had a really good season for Denver, and had a large part to do with the defensive improvements of that team, not only during the regular season, but then in the postseason, providing them someone on the wing that can guard some of the better wings and fours in the league, but can also provide you some rim protection as well. There's a lot to like about Jermai Grant from a defensive skill set standpoint, and he started to round out his offensive game as well, becoming a relatively reliable offensive player. But when you combine that with the defensive stuff that he brings to the table, Jermai Grant is going to be a player to watch for in this offseason as someone that could potentially get a bigger contract than you are expecting. Denver is certainly going to be highly motivated to re-sign him, which is going to only raise his value if there are other teams interested as well. He's still a pretty young player as well. Jermai Grant is going to be a really interesting free agent to watch, one of the better defenders in this free agency class, and that's why I have him ranked 6 above guys like Montrezl Harrell, Gordon Hayward, Andre Drummond, and of course Davis Bertans. Next up now at number 5 is Danillo Gallinari, and we don't really know what's going to happen with this guy in free agency. It looks like a sign and trade is at least a bit of a possibility here, but regardless, when this guy's healthy, he's going to score 20 points a game. Like, that's the bottom line for Danillo Gallinari. Now, is he going to be able to stay on the floor consistently for an entire, what is looking like 72 game schedule for next year? We'll have to wait and see. But like I said, if he's on the floor, he's going to get you a handful of assists. He's going to score the ball. He's not going to be a great defender, but he's going to at least kind of compete. Gives you really, really good size at the 3 or the 4 spot on the wing. And someone that you can rely on offensively to not be the guy, but to be a really, really nice complementary option. And that's worth a good amount on the open market in free agency, and that's why he's ranked where he is on this list. Next up now, number 4 is a guy that's really raised his value over the last... I don't have my timeline correct because of the suspension, but over the last, 9 or 10 months, and it's Goran Dragic. And this is a guy that for most of the regular season was coming off the bench in Miami for a variety of reasons. They wanted to get Kendrick Nunn in the starting lineup. They wanted Dragic to be playing off the bench to kind of be the main facilitator off the bench. But then once they got to the postseason, Dragic was reinserted into the starting lineup and had an awesome postseason. It's unfortunate that he got hurt the way that he did in the finals, because I think he really could have had a huge impact in potentially pushing that series to 7 games. Dragic, when he's right and when he's healthy, is one of the most underrated on-ball creators and pick-and-roll guys in the entire league. Can play make, can shoot, can get to the rim. Has a lot of nifty finishes around the rim as well. Obviously not a great athlete, but someone that's going to garner a lot of attention. And just as a player, maybe not as a free agent in terms of this guy's going to get 4 years, $80 million, but as a player, one-to-one, I really like Goran Dragic a lot better than a lot of the other free agents in this class. As far as what's going to happen in his free agency, Miami ideally wants him to just sign a big 1-year deal and stay with them so they can keep their cap space, but that might not be a possibility. There might be another team that jumps in there and says, nah, we want Goran Dragic on our team, and we're going to offer him multiple years. He's definitely one to watch this offseason, but he is one of the best free agents in this entire class, in my opinion. Next up now at number 3 is a player that I wanted to put 1 spot higher, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because of the player that's at number 2. And I'm going to go with Fred VanVleet here with the 3rd pick the third most valuable, in my opinion, free agent in the entire 2020 free agency class. This is someone that competes incredibly hard defensively, one of the better small guard defenders in the league, can really shoot the basketball, can play make. Really, there's no holes in Fred VanVleet's game. You can put him on any of the other 29 teams in the league and on Toronto's roster, obviously, and he's going to fit in. He's going to make winning basketball plays. He's going to space the floor. He's going to do a lot of really, really good things for your team. Now, you need another like on-ball creator type guy alongside him to really make him, maximally effective, so that he's not the one trying to create things all the time. He's more of like an on and off guard, which, can work really well with certain players like Kyle Lowry. But VanVleet, like I said, just in terms of being a complete player, I don't see how he could have gone lower than this. Maybe you could make an argument that you'd rather have Gallinari or Dragic, but for me personally, the all-around game and skill set of VanVleet puts him at number 3 on this list. Next up now at number 2 is going to be DeMar DeRozan, and honestly, I almost put him at number 3. I almost put VanVleet here at 2, but I thought people would get mad at me, and the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, let's give DeMar DeRozan some credit. Not a great floor spacer, so his fit with a handful of different teams is certainly questionable if you don't have the spacing to surround DeMar DeRozan with, and, it's a player option that he is pretty likely to opt into there in San Antonio, so he's probably not even going to be a 2020 free agent, but still, DeMar DeRozan is a player that can still really score the basketball, really good in the mid-range, has improved his playmaking since he's been in San Antonio, and even though the three-point shooting stuff is completely non-existent and the defensive stuff isn't really great, he's still one of the better playmakers, creators, and scorers in this class, and his skill set in those specific areas, in my opinion, puts him over the top of anybody else ranked behind him in this list, although I do think it was really, really close between him and VanVleet at number 3. And then next up now, number 1 is a guy that's not going to be a free agent, but I had to put him on the list, right? And it's Anthony Davis at number 1. He's going to come back to the LA Lakers. There's no question about it. One of the best players in the entire league, certainly one of the best bigs in the entire league, as a great rim protector, great defender, defensive player of the year caliber guy, and continues to grow his offensive game year by year as well, with the mid-range, with the three-point shots, continuing to develop his post-game, working hard on the glass. You guys know what Anthony Davis is about. He's going to round out the top 10 there at number 1 of my top 10 free agents in the 2020 NBA class. And again, rounding out that list, we're going Davis, Bertans at 10, followed by Hayward, Drummond, Harrell, Grant, Gallinari, Dragic, VanVleet, DeRozan, and Davis. And yeah, there you have it. That's going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say in terms of who your top 10 free agents are in this 2020 NBA free agency class, so be sure to leave those down in the comments section below. But that is going to be the end of today's video. If you missed any of my previous videos, including the double upload yesterday, then be sure to check out these boxes on screen. Thanks again. I'll see you all next time.